Hey there, welcome to another episode of Lexi Advanced Level Biology class. And this is going to be our second class. Now, in our first class, for a revision, we did the introduction to biology as a course, where we talked about the definition of biology, the concepts or the scope of biology, and also we talked about the levels of organization as well as the characteristics of living things. So for a very good explanation, you can go back to check the first video. Now, in the first video, we talked about 6 levels of organization. We talked about the chemical level, the cellular level, the tissue level, the organ level, and then the organ system level, and lastly the organismic level. That is where we have the organisms. Now, today we will be starting with the first level of organization, which is the chemical level organization, and the topic that we'll be starting with is biological molecules. Biological molecules. Now, biological molecules simply means that those molecules that are related to life, that is, the molecules that makes living possible. These molecules are so important that they help in the building, that is in the structure and in the function, both the physiological and the anatomical makeup of living things. These molecules are so essential in those two aspects. Now, for introduction, the study of biological molecules form an important aspect of biology known as molecular biology. So the aspect of biology or the field of biology that studies these biological molecules is known as molecular biology. Now, molecular biology is cross-linked with biochemistry, which looks at the chemical reaction of biological molecules. That is, a discipline known as biochemistry is somehow cross-linked, is somehow related to this molecular biology, in that it studies the reaction of these biological molecules, that is the metabolism of these biological molecules, how these biological molecules, how they are synthesized and how they are being broken down to form different materials in the body. So this biochemistry talks about that, but that's not our major concern for now. Now, biological molecules plays a critical role in cells, structure, and function, and that is why we must take this particular topic, that is this particular level of organization, before we move to cell, because these molecules, they play a very critical role in the functioning and in the structure of the cell. That is, even the cell itself depends on these molecules for its own function. We all know the cell as the basic or the basic and the simplest form of life. So even for a cell to perform its own function, to carry out its own life function, these molecules are very, very important for its function. So most biological molecules, but not all, most biological molecules are polymers. Which are any molecules constructed by linking together many smaller molecules called monomers. Now, from the word poly means many, and then we have mono, which means one. So now most of these biological molecules, they are polymers, that is, they are large molecules, and they are made from combining or joining of smaller molecules, which are known as monomers, together. So which means that these biological molecules, we have the simplest form, and then we have the larger form of these biological molecules. Now, typically all monomers in a polymer tend to be the same, or at least very similar to each other, and over again to build up a larger molecule. So what we are trying to say is that all these monomers that are present in the polymer, they tend to be the same, or they just vary slightly from each other. But a repetition of these monomers over and over again will build up into a larger biological molecule. Now, this takes us to the next subtopic, where we have the building block of life. The building block, that is, cell is known as the basic unit of life, but there are molecules that build up cell to make it a basic unit of life. So we want to look at the building block that makes a cell to function. Now, the four most common or most important elements in living things, in order of abundance, we have four most important elements in living things, which I'm going to be mentioning in order of their abundance. We have hydrogen, which is the most abundant. We have carbon, which is the second most abundant. We have oxygen, and then we have nitrogen, which is the least abundant. So now, these four molecules, these four elements rather, forms the basic building block of life. All the skeleton, all the molecules I'll be talking about are based on these four elements that I've just mentioned. Now, carbon is the most important of all these four elements. Why? Because carbon can form a long chain or a ring structure. That is, it can form a long chain, or it can curl into a ring structure. And also, it is the basic skeleton of organic molecules to which other groups of atoms are attached. That is, carbon forms the skeleton that all other group of atoms. That is, when carbon forms the skeleton, hydrogen can join, oxygen can join, and also nitrogen can join. That is, carbon will be the one to form the template to which all other three elements can join. So carbon is the most important of all these four elements, but hydrogen is the most abundant. Now, these simply but key biological molecules, which are relatively limited in variety, act as a building block for larger molecules, just as I've said. These four elements are very simple. They are just very simple elements, but they form the building block of life. Because there's no, talking of biological molecules, which are molecules that are related, there's no how we want to talk about these biological molecules that won't be making mention of all of these four elements. So they are very, very important in our study of biological molecules. And as time goes on, we will see that the topics that will be taken under these biological molecules will be relating to all these four elements. Now, let's look at, we have made mention of monomers, we have made mention of polymers, and then macromolecules. So let's see what these terms implies. Now, monomers, from the word mono, just like I've said earlier, the word mono means one. So monomers are simple organic elements. They are simple organic elements that can come together, that can join together to form larger molecule known as polymers. So the making of polymers from monomer is quite simple, because it is just only one reaction that is required, and that reaction is a condensation reaction. That is, to join monomers together and make a polymer, it is going to take us a reaction known as condensation reaction. And these monomers, they are the basic, they are the simple units, the simplest unit for the building of polymers, because they can exist singly. They exist singly. So when you join them together, then you are going to form a polymer. Now, the four most important monomers that we have in the body of a living organism, we have monosaccharides, that's for carbohydrates. We have amino acids, that's for protein. We have fatty acids and glycerol, that is for lipids. And then we have nucleotides, that is for nucleic acids. So now let's move on to polymers. Now, from the word poly means many. So the polymers are larger organic molecules. They are larger organic molecules that are formed by several units, which are known as the monomers. That is, joining of several monomers together forms a polymer. And this, like I've said, the making of polymer is very simple. You just keep on repeating a single reaction, and that reaction is a condensation reaction. Now, the four most important polymers in the body of a living organism, we have polysaccharide, carbohydrate. We have polypeptide, that is protein. We have glycerides, that is lipid, and then we have polynucleotide, that is for nucleic acid. So these polymers are very essential because when they build up, when these polymers comes together, they form what we know as the macromolecules. So talking of macromolecules are giant or bigger organic molecules, that is, they are very big, that they can comprise of different type of monomers together. So macromolecules are very large or giant organic molecules that are needed for the growth and development of living organisms. So these macromolecules are very, very important in the functioning and in the growth of living organisms. So also, just like we have 4 important polymers, we have 4 important macromolecules also. We have the carbohydrates, we have the protein, we have lipids, and then we have nucleic acid. So all these 4 macromolecules are made up of carbon-based monomers. That is the monosaccharide, the amino acid and amino acids. We have the fatty acid and glycerol, and then the nucleotides. So the 4 macromolecules are made up of carbon-based monomers, and these carbon-based monomers are joined together repeatedly by a condensation reaction. So this table presents the monomers and the polymers of our biological molecules. So from this side, we can see now up here we have the monomers, and down here we have the polymers. So starting from this side, we have amino acids. So amino acids, which are the monomers, and then the polymers is called protein, and then followed by fatty acids. Now, fatty acid is not the original monomer because there is a need for fatty acid to combine with glycerol before it can form lipid. So, fatty acid combining with glycerol, which is derived from monosaccharides, which are derived from monosaccharides. So fatty glycerol, which are derived from monosaccharides, will combine with fatty acid. Then we have lipids. So fatty acid from plus glycerol gives us lipids. And then from monosaccharides also we have another monosaccharide combining with nucleotides. Now this is the monomer for carbohydrates. So from monosaccharides we have polysaccharides, but for nucleic acid, which is the last one here, we have nitrogenous bases. Now these nitrogenous bases are purine and pyrimidine. So those are the 2 nitrogenous bases that we have for nucleic acid. But these 2 nitrogenous bases, we have to combine with monosaccharide. That is, we have to combine with a sugar because monosaccharides are sugars. So the nitrogenous bases we have to combine with a monosaccharide to form the nucleotide, and this nucleotide is the original monomer for nucleic acid. So when nitrogenous bases combine with a monosaccharide, it would form nucleotide. So a polymer of nucleotide will give us nucleic acid. So polymerization of nucleotide will give us nucleic acid, and then these nucleic acids are termed as DNA and RNA. So this table shows us, or this diagram, this figure shows us the way the monomers are formed, and then the polymers that are then derived from the monomers. So this best explains the 4 most important monomers and the 4 most important polymers, which are the macromolecules that we'll be looking at subsequently in our next classes. So for our next classes now, we're talking about the carbohydrate, the protein, the lipids, and the nucleic acid, because you have to you have to look at all these 4 macromolecules before we can move to the next level of organization. So here it is, we have come to the end of today's class, and we hope that you, as you watch, you will subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can get updated for our next video. Thank you. See you some other time.